also liked the parallel park edits.
Right, there was no finality. I agree with you.
And there was parts where, they worked in, you would have the reporter track and then a quick pop that would work in that little breath that the reporter would give. They found those little moments.
Yeah. And I feel for that story, they also use silence to their advantage because it was a story which was very emotional. So when they interviewed the dad, they just left silent after that just to give it some breathing room. And
it's a very mature edit.
Yeah, that's a very mature
Yes.
edit. You got to use that silence to your advantage.
Yes, and sometimes just letting it breathe
Yeah.
can change the whole piece, and knowing when to let it breathe, and that was a
Right.
moment.
So we're good with Ginger for honorable mention?
I'd say that or Snap Crackle Pop. Those would be the two in discussion.
Can we watch those together?
Sure.
Folks, I'm informed that the jury has reached verdicts in this case.
A case that put Michael Beauchamp on trial, accused of killing Ginger Phillips. For her family, it's taken almost 5 years to reach this day.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard.
They first knew something was wrong on July 29, 2018, when Ginger never returned to her home in Olympia.
Kind of kills you yourself, you know. You don't know where she is.
Hard to keep your spirits up.
Her father, Wayne Phillips, filed a missing persons report.
Nothing but bad news.
On August 6th, police received a call about a stripped vehicle.
Why would somebody do this to the car?
That's why I'm really worried.
It turned out to be her Honda Civic.
And then this.
Human remains found near Tacoma on September 13th were identified as Ginger Phillips.
At least we know where she is now, and she's not just missing.
For her parents, the traumatic transition from a missing persons case to a murder investigation
Just seems like such a shame.
was beyond painful.
She had everything to look forward to.
Evidence led investigators to Beauchamp, and in June of 2020, charges were filed against him.
The entire thing seems almost surreal.
Court documents allege that he shot and killed Ginger to keep her quiet about a Thurston County crime he committed. Today, after a long wait,
We, the jury, having found the defendant guilty of
there's now relief for Ingrid Phillips, Ginger's mother.
Guilty on everything. Guilty on everything. We were one right after the other. We were squeezing each other's hands. Couldn't believe it, that it's actually over.
She just wishes Wayne, Ginger's father, could have been here to see it.
He passed away in December of 2021. He died before he could get justice, and it's heavy on my mind.
She's here representing her family for one reason.
Ginger, she's truly missed.
The part about him dying, that's heavy.
In two different stories, completely.
Drivers out of the vehicle, we have rescue route.
There was a bit of a commotion.
I've come down to see what is happening.
I've never seen anything like it.
Wow, what the heck happened?
I seen that truck coming. I was about ready to leave to go see my mother, and he still had his dump up, and I'm waving my hands as hard as I could and yelling and yelling. All of a sudden he started grabbing all the wires, transformers are blowing up.
Be advised, we are working on getting a hold of Anoka Electric for this as well.
I've been around where, when there's a flame coming out of an electric pole, it's not really good. So I came out, and so did everybody else. Great way to meet neighbors.
I thought I was in a twilight zone. I couldn't believe it. Snap, crackle, pop, like toothpicks are breaking. You have no power, no running water, no air conditioning.
Not at all. In fact, I called for because there was an outage. My concern here is for the people who have no electricity.
We're waiting for the power. They're coming they're here now.
Felt bad for the driver, and I brought him a couple waters, and he got out of there safe. It was too much, too fast.
They're going to do the best they can. They're going to get us up and running. Look at that line is already up.
Of course, the air conditioning isn't working now, but we'll survive.
I feel like it's a similar conversation where the courtroom story was more storytelling, But the Snap Crackle Pop was, you know, fast pacing and fun edits, and you know, I don't know, they're very hard to compare.
I picked up this time that with the Ginger story, I kind of like, I went into it like they had nothing to do with the graphics. They were just given all this video. How did they put it together? And started to hear little sound effects that they had thrown in, which you know, kind of would have helped, but it wasn't consistent. They just weren't loud enough. But I liked where they were going with that. Just little transitional sound effects to kind of help move a story like that along. But it just didn't. They just weren't consistent. And if there was two that I picked up on, there might have been more, but I just don't know if they weren't loud enough or. But then again, this was all cut within an hour, so to go in there and try and throw those in, it was going the extra effort, you know, to try and move this along. I mean, it's still an impressive piece for 1 hour to put together between the court stuff. I like the way they ended it with the urn, but yeah, that's, I guess personally I would be leaning towards that one.
Yeah.
You would lean towards Ginger?
Towards Ginger. Snap Crackle just, for me, it didn't do much. And again, I looked at it like, this is all the video this person was given, what can you do with it? And it just seemed like, you know, just some shots were just tossed up because we needed them, and it wasn't the cleanest. I felt like it was cleaner cuts, cleaner edits with Ginger, and in terms of sound, audio, you know, because they had, and granted, the interview, you had the trucks in the background, they had to work with that, but the Nats kind of did move a little bit all over instead of a nice, even flow. But again, within an hour, still a very impressive edit.
Yeah. Yeah, for me as well, Ginger stands out in the sense that it's a story that they need to tell, but they're also using interviews to weave in human emotions. I wish they gave it more like just pause, because that was really strong. Wish the narrator was not always like, okay, this happened, but so that's why the interweaving in the edit, that doesn't work for me, but otherwise the story in itself, the use of graphics to tell that story in a 2-minute works, that works. But Snap Crackle Pop, I agree, it's a breaking news story, spot news story, how do you get it across? But the edit didn't feel was intentional, or the use of clips in the timeline was just thought through. So
I felt like they were trying to create a sense of like, you know, this is kind of chaotic out here. I think they did capture that. You know, it's fast paced. You know, they captured and edited sound naturally, like sound bites, to tell the story with no order. I don't know. I'm comfortable with Ginger. I would
Yeah,
probably
I'm good with Ginger.
slightly lean.
All right.
Where would you lean towards Snap or?
I would, but
Yeah,
it's
I'm
close.
good with Snap. To me, yeah, they're both pretty
They're
even.
both, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think we got 3 Gingers.
okay.
Let's go Ginger.
Yeah.
All right, you guys need a break? You want to go next category?
I'm ready to go to next category.
I'm ready.
All right.
So is this 59 we click
Yeah.
on?
So now it's 6-minute edit, but it's still.
All right, I will get it right this time.
Yeah.
yeah, good to know.
You guys ready? Yep.
It goes into spaces where you can't get a regular truck in to set poles or transformers. So today we're using it because of the terrain.
For several hours on Friday, under a searing July sun,
It's a hot day, but it's for a worthy cause, and that's the only thing that matters.
dozens of employees with power giant Dominion Energy volunteered to build much-needed fencing.
We have 260 fence posts to set.
Fencing to guide and protect the vulnerable residents of this horse sanctuary outside Fredericksburg.
It's an enormous task.
Her name is Reese. She's also adoptable and rideable.
We're at the Central Virginia Horse Rescue, an oasis for equines pulled from difficult to horrific environments.
Many of them have the bloodlines through Secretariat.
Board member Robert Highland says these fillies like Jasmine, who hail from a world-class lineage, were recently saved from a Shenandoah County property simply unacceptable for these statuesque creatures.
Yeah, she could not be sweeter.
Literally, they were eating bark off of trees to subsist.
Some had to be euthanized. The hope is that these 24 remaining thoroughbreds will rehab successfully until healthy enough for adoption.
That's what it's all about. We've had horses that come in here and we throw the kitchen sink at them, and it's touch and go whether they make it. The ones that make it, that's why it's all worthwhile.
Seeing the horses just kind of makes it all worth it. You know, you're helping them, you're helping the environment. It's all volunteer organizations, so it's a good cause all around.
Here, horses come to heal from the wounds of indifference, with digs and guests like these at the Central Virginia Horse Rescue. A welcome change indeed for Jasmine and her friends. I'm Jake Horf for 7 News.
All right, that's at the bar.
Good. Next.
There's always a buzz in Chicago.
It's amazing, it really is.
But with all that noise, it's sometimes easy to miss
No.
what's right over your head.
That's a honey hive.
We were sitting here the whole time, didn't even notice them.
A locust tree at Daly Plaza
Here's a good view.
is swarming with attention.
Oh, that's a bigger swarm than I thought.
Matt Vasky is a beekeeper with the hive supply in Pilsen.
We got the call that there was a swarm out here.
He says these bees split from their hive in search of a new home.
An expedition, if you will.
But they could use a bit of help getting there.
We're gonna have to get something to get us up there.
A bucket truck will do for beekeeper Naaman Gamble, whose day job is suddenly the focus of Daly Plaza and the CBS 2 newsroom.
Wind's picking up, which is not great.
Naaman's goal is to coax the bees into boxes.
Bees flying around a little bit.
And to keep calm before the swarm. From a locust tree in the Loop,
We're in the thick of it right now.
bees are on their way to a new home.
I'm gonna hand you some bees. I'm scooping bees out of the bucket, literally.
City living isn't for everyone,
Take that down to the ground.
but there will be plenty of buzz
Yeah, I think we got the queen.
wherever bees land.
Good. Next.
There are few shops like this. The kind of place where fresh, local fish is the sole focus. Mutual Fish in Rainier Valley. The kind of business that keeps people like Ram working here for 23 years.
We have people that come in, we know them by first name, we know them, they know us, they call us by first name too, and we treat everybody like family, whether you've been here for years or whether you've just been coming in, we treat everybody like family.
But on a day like this, there's a new level of emotion.
This is why I'm gonna miss this. You guys.
Outside the door, a sign marking the end of a 76-year era.
Hi Sandra, how are you?
Yes. This announcement made quietly by owner Harry Yoshimura, whose dad opened the market in 1946.
It's just about time. We've been thinking about it for a while. And
This news traveled fast.
how are you?
Nice to see you, Harry.
Good seeing you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sad days.
The community flooding in for one final trip to Mutual Fish. This man video calling his 104-year-old mom from Israel, who used to be a customer.
I called her to say goodbye. Yeah, so that she could. Okay, bye, Mom.
Through these final days, Harry stays stoic, taking it all in.
Yeah, it's going to be a bunch of highs and lows after all these years. Yeah.
Ram, on the other hand,
I already know I'm gonna start bawling.
tears on their final day of business Saturday.
It's a legacy that's gonna be missed.
So what's next for Harry after growing up here?
Maybe play a little more golf or do something else.
And eventually,
Do that.
when the time comes,
So might even go fishing.
always holding on to his family's legacy.
We'd appreciate it, man.
In the Seattle fish world.
Welcome to the retirement club.
Leah
Thank
Pizzetti,
you.
King 5 News.
Thank you. Are you ready to go?
Should be an interesting one.
Puberty? Oh, wait.
The road life brings.
Oh.
The one on our list is.
I just,
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
move them.
Oh, okay, got it.
I keep track.
Is this the right one?
Yeah.
Life isn't a straight shot. Today's turns direct Alejandra Castañeda to grief.
Thank you again, Bran. Thank you, Pam. Thank you, everybody, for being here. As members of this community, we are heartbroken that our neighbors keep dying preventable deaths on Denver streets.
Last month, Nick Cordova, a moped driver, was hit by a white SUV on Spear and Grove Street. He was killed. Nick left behind a dog and dozens of friends, like Rosalind Cordales.
Empty.
Still struggling with the fact that her beloved co-worker is gone.
It's not the same. It's heartbreaking, and I'm just so sad.
Denver police still have not made any arrests. They believe the white SUV involved in the hit and run likely has front-end damage. And what's even more harmful to Alejandra is the inaction.
Today, we're also honoring Nick's life by acting on our collective grief. Our Denver Department of Transportation was awarded a federal grant to identify opportunities for safety improvements. Today, we're asking the mayor, our city council representatives, and DOTI decision makers to expand the study to include this section of Spear Boulevard where Nick was killed.
While none of this will bring Nick back,
There won't be another person like Nick.
Grant Hansel and so many other friends hope they can be more like him. They can be stronger and take the rough roads life brings and do some good.
You know, can I take bad experiences like this and pain like this and make it a better world, make it a better place for us, you know, and just think about him when I do that.
Okay.
Most kids dream of a home filled with animals.
Okay, go ahead, buddy.
With age, Jewel Johnson made it a reality. She founded the Rooster Sanctuary at Danzig's Roost in Bennett.
Like, who doesn't want to wake up to all these happy animals? It's just a blessing that they're alive.
Getting older is exactly why she's here.
Hi, FP.
Because going through puberty is foul, even for foul.
They're just finding their voice. They're like, I am a rooster! You know, I'm here! And then everybody around, all the humans are like, oh no.
Back in September, Johnson says she got a call about a rooster dumped near 32nd and Federal in Denver. She found a roughly 4-month-old male bird near a busy street. She took him in and called him Steve.
He's lucky, but it's another one. They just keep pumping them out. It's a problem that we really can't keep up with.
The boom of backyard chickens has an unexpected consequence: abandoned roosters. Because baby chicks are hard to gender. As they mature, the calls come in.
It's always the same, like I said. You know, we purchased these chicks in the spring. It's August, and now he's crowing. We legally can't have them. Can you help me?
Roosters are illegal in the city of Denver. So are drakes and intact goats. So when a family hoping for eggs gets a noise complaint instead, there aren't many options.
Where's Jim? Jim's the peacock.
The reality is the rescues can't afford to take them all in. They hope those in the city looking to farm their own food do something else.
Yeah, grow a garden.
So no one has to be forced to leave home.
Minutes as soon as the first video hits timeline. Okay.
Okay.
A rough winter has led to rough roads.
I bike everywhere, but there's been potholes everywhere. It's been a pretty bad pothole season. Feels like you're off-roading everywhere.
Talk about potholes. You could lose your whole car in that thing.
That thing, a sinkhole.
It's pretty big.
It appeared Sunday afternoon near 27th Street and Girard Avenue South in Uptown.
We thought it was like a movie set because there were multiple cameras out here on the scene.
I thought Florida was coming to Minnesota.
Drawing crowds and confusion.
Wow, this is crazy. Like, what happened?
The city of Minneapolis says a collapsed sewer main is to blame.
Yeah, it's about 16 feet to the bottom.
Curtis Stallings, a general foreman of sewer construction, says it's a 15-inch clay pipe broken about 8 feet away from this manhole.
There's a lot of pipes in Minneapolis right now that are going through that freeze-thaw process. And now with the weather warming up, we got a lot of snow, so you get groundwater on top of that as well. And that kind of tends to play a effect on our storm and sanitary system.
But Curtis also says the main is from 1903, a problem throughout the city. Every year, the city relines sewer pipes.
We have a construction group that goes out and fixes a lot of the pipes that have a higher criticality. A lot of times, especially I'm guessing this year, you're going to have a lot of potential for sinkholes or any other damage to pipe.
A deep problem.
I was thinking like, yeah, pothole just like whatever. But this takes the cake, you know, like this is what's happening in your neck of the hood.
Okay.
Turning the pages.
And this picture is one of my favorite.
Back in time for Elva.
Love.
Brings back.
A lot of love.
For her late husband, Stephen.
We were so fun. We were a fun couple.
The two met working at Bryce Canyon National Park in the summer of 1959. This photo of them, the beginning of a lifelong companionship.
We dedicated ourselves to serve each other.
Living in several states, their family grew to 7 children and eventually 17 grandchildren, like Paige.
I really remember the moment I saw it.
Who has always admired her grandparents' love story and this photo.
It just stuck with me.
Last fall, when the family celebrated the couple's 60th wedding anniversary in Bryce, she was excited to join, but sad her boyfriend Garrett couldn't come.
So I was at the time working on a case for a school project.
Or so she thought. Sunrise family photos turned into the beginning of her own love story.
And I looked and I saw him, and I knew exactly what was going on the second I saw him.
I think it ended up working out pretty good.
It was honestly the most perfect proposal.
Made even more perfect by creating the photo her grandparents took all those years ago, which, for Paige, meant everything.
I don't think I've witnessed two people more in love than my grandparents.
A love that continues with an iconic family photo in a special place more than 60 years later.
It made me happy. It made me very, very happy.
Lauren Steinbrecher, KSL 5 News.
Okay.
Every morning at the bus stop,
Hey, Preston.
Parents hand off their kids to the driver.
They're the next person that's going to be there to protect your kid.
On September 29th, that next person was Raquel Radford Baker.
They have to get to school and they have to get back. So my number one priority is safety.
The Dallas ISD team lead driver was covering the Seagoville route.
He was 3 seats behind this seat here. He was 3 seats behind and he came up straggling.
7-year-old Preston was goofing around when he put something in his mouth and choked.
The student came up to me. I thought he was sick, so he appeared to be throwing up. So I was like, hey, throw up, so I opened up the door to tell him to throw up outside. And when he turned back and looked at me, he was basically letting me know he couldn't breathe. I immediately got off the bus, picked him up, and ran down the stairs. On my way to the sidewalk, I was doing the Heimlich removal.
Raquel asked another parent to call 911.
Telling him, breathe, baby, breathe. I got you, I got you.
And out came 25 cents.
I choked on a quarter.
Preston promises he won't do it again.
And then Raquel saved my life.
Since that day, his mom, Giovanna Bell, has wanted to say thank you in person. It was their first time meeting.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. You never know what can happen to them once they get on that bus or whenever they leave your home. You don't know if they're going to be able to come back.
This mom is more than grateful.
All right, have a good day, boy.
It was Raquel who drove her son that morning. And each day she sees Raquel in the front seat. It is a feeling of comfort, handing the greatest love of her life to a woman she calls her hero.
These are my babies.
In Seagoville.
All of them.
I'm Tiffany Liu.
Okay, what say you all?
Bees, baby.
Bees?
Yeah, the bees was good.
Bees, which one was that?
That was the first one.
I have bees and rooster and the last one all as even. But the bees, yeah, that was great.
Yeah, the rooster and the bees.
Breathe Baby and Rooster? Puberty?
Yes. Yeah. What'd you like about the bees?
Well, first of all, I think it's insane to make a viewer care about a swarm of bees, and they did that. Yeah, I mean, just capturing it all naturally happening as it was happening, staying in that moment, getting the reaction of everything going around in the city, from the people up in the newsroom looking down, waving, to the cars driving by. It was all, the edits were clean as a whistle, lots of great natural sound. It was funny. I don't know, I thought it checked a lot of boxes.
I thought some of the shots could have been varied more. Like, I thought some of the shots were pretty repetitive, but I did think it was fun. And it had a good closing shot.
When I felt the buzz with the beginning with the cuts, you could feel the buzz, but then when that branch snapped and they let it sit for like 4 seconds, and you could take in what just happened. That was great. Rather than let's keep moving on. I mean, that was the best part of it for me. When that thing snapped, it was all like you were there, and then the editor gave you enough time to really take in, like, okay, this is really what's going on, and didn't move on. I really liked that about it.
I liked the Bryce Canyon love story. I know it was pretty simple, but I thought it was clever on the different ways that they included the picture and the reveal.
I just wanted that grandma and the grandkid to interact.
That's true.
They were never together, ever.
But is that a problem with the edit or the shooting?
Right.
I gave that one one of my lowest scores because it made me feel so claustrophobic because it was so many tight shots.
Oh, yeah.
The widest shot you had was the 2 shot of them until we got to the end where the grandma was sitting at the table. I would have liked to have seen, because they had the pictures, so we're going from tight shot to tight shot to tight shot, and then we'd take a tight shot of a picture or something. I would have liked to have seen more what they did with the grandma, work in, like you can edit in a picture off to the side and have something a little less distracting, but to just go, I was starting to feel like closed in with all the tight shots that they were taking. But
I mean, I love the angle with the story, but I feel I wish it had more to it rather than just replicating a photo. But that, like, I wish the questions that were asked or whatever, it got out the human emotion more rather than, okay, we replicated this photo. But I definitely love the angle of how they did it. But I mean, yeah, I wanted to know more, like why.
And I think that if we would have seen them interacting with each other,
Right.
that would have been where the emotion came
Right,
out.
true.
And okay, maybe that's not the editor's fault, but we're still judging the final edited piece. And yeah, I mean, my note was that I loved the story, but I just didn't think the editing was elite.
And in this category, they're also filming, right? Right. So filming and
Solo.
editing. Solo.
Everything was them.
the rooster, why I mean, for another 60-minute cut, super clean. They worked the gnats in great, just loud enough, and it was about the rooster, you know, letting that noise out. And I'm sure they only had, believe it or not, probably like 3 or 4 times they did that, because it almost sounded like they were using the same gnat that I had picked up on at the end, but it worked because they just, the way they cut it, the way they cut the birds flying off, they had some really good gnats to work with, and they also, in that quick 60 minutes, took the time for like clean transitional, like they would take a car just as it was passing and take, you know, they knew exactly what they were looking for, and that it kept it moving. I liked how, you know, they were intentional, where then I think it was the next one, there was cars in it, and they were just kind of grabbing it for where in the middle of the shot, the sinkhole, like where cars had nothing to do with the rooster story, but they still, when they needed that one shot, they backed it up and made sure that was, it struck me as very clean edits for